Hey everybody, welcome back to Global Conflict TCG. Ryan here with you again for part two today. So this one is not going to be a devlog. We're going to take a little bit of a break from Unity for right now for a few minutes. I want to talk about an update to Global Conflict, just where Global Conflict is at as a whole, as a game. What is the future? Kind of where I'm at with this project. I know the past probably 3-4 months I've done nothing but Unity stuff. So I kind of want to get back to the cards for a minute and talk about the actual core game itself and not just the Unity project. But just a word of warning, I guess. A lot of what I'm going to talk about with the cards is really like a direct effect from working on the project in Unity and kind of why I'm making changes. So let's just get into it. So what you're seeing on the screen here, we have the very first card, the Light Infantry for the NHA. There's something about this card. I use this card everywhere. I use this card image. There's something about this little infantryman that has this M16 that I just really like. It's just one of my favorite cards. It's not like a particularly great card or anything, but it's one of my favorite. So let's do this. Let's run through the 50 cards, and then I'm going to talk about the changes and as we go and why. But keep in mind. So I'm building this project in Unity, and my real plan for this game in Unity is to make it into like a really comprehensive single player experience. It's not going to be multiplayer, at least initially. But my dream for this project is to have a 50 card base set that I make in Unity, and you'd be able to get it off of Steam or hopefully like iOS or something like that. But have it be a single player experience. I know if anybody watching this has ever played Pokemon TCGO, like the online game, we know that actually today that application is shut down. The original PTCGO is shut down. And so I started playing that like quite a while back, like a long time ago. And one of my favorite things about it was that you could play online. But if you ever just wanted to take a break and like just play the AI or do trainer challenges, or in my case, I have a couple daughters that are just like kind of getting into Pokemon like and stuff and playing TCGs, and I would play the trainer challenges against the computer, and it's kind of nice because you're not playing against a real person that's playing a troll deck or just gonna absolutely crush you. So I mean, I've always enjoyed having the opportunity to play the AI. With Pokemon, that's actually going away as far as I know with like the new application they have. So my game is going to be player versus computer. And so because of that, because I'm a one-man show, just building this myself in Unity, I mean, I said this before, but it is a ton of work to put this thing together. If you've seen my devlogs, you've seen the devlog I just posted right before this video. I have hours and hours and hours and hours of work into this thing, and I kind of got to the point where I got really burned out, to the point where I didn't feel like quitting, but I was just mentally exhausted. There is a lot to do when you're building a TCG inside of Unity. Every single action, every attack, every ability, you name it, you have to script it. So in order to keep my sanity, I decided I need to really scale back this project, and in particular scale back the base set, so that way I'm not killing myself trying to make this thing. I actually want to deliver the project. So now that we got that out of the way, instead of 80 cards in the base set, I'm down to 50 cards. And one thing I'll tell you is I spent a week combing through the cards, deciding what to pick. I actually changed some attacks, changed some abilities. I am very, very, very deliberate about the 50 cards that I chose in this set. And I think what you'll see in this video are the 50 cards that I chose are truly at the core basic, the core of the game, the most basic cards that you need in order to play the game, but not just play the game, but there's cards specifically designed to provide variety in the game, so that way you're not stuck just playing the same deck over and over and over. You're gonna see that I still have the 4 factions, but it's really they're not as big. There's only 5 cards in each faction. So you'll see what I mean. It is drastically cut down, but I really opened it up to allow a lot of versatility in the cards and allow you to make a lot of different variations of faction decks. So I hope you see it. It's just something that I think was really necessary, and I'm glad that I made the change because I feel a lot better about it. So here we go. First one's light infantry, is still the same. We have a call for reinforcements, same attack, search for one basic infantry or basic mercenary unit, put them on your base, shuffle your deck afterwards. This card has basically been the same. It's one of my favorite cards, not going anywhere. Next up, I got rid of the Ranger, so the Ranger is no longer in the factions set anymore. So the next card up is Marksman. I figured that I could not have a military game without keeping some type of sniper marksman character. So here's the Marksman, pretty much the same. 80 HP, has a couple easy attacks here. Still has a resistance -10, mostly unchanged. So good to go. We still have the Rocketman. There's no way I'm getting rid of the Rocketman. That's one card that I felt you have to have in the base set, especially when you're going to have infantry versus tanks. You got to have some type of, tank killer in a way. So here's the Rocketman, still 110 HP. Has a new attack now. So one of the things I did is I got rid of the CQC, close quarter combat attacks, in favor of other things that could help you progress through the game. So in this case, we have an attack called Reload, which is draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. So when I was talking about that versatility aspect of things, this is where having a card like this and giving you a little bit of extra draw support is some of that versatility. Since we're not going to have a lot of command cards in this set, you need other ways to draw cards. So we're doing it with attacks. Still have laser guided rocket. Same damage. Overall, we'll do 190 damage to any vehicle. Good to go there. We have the machine gunner. Is still on board for the NHA. 120 HP. Has just a couple attacks. Has one spread damage attack. Suppression fire, 60 damage. Does 10 damage to each unit on the base. So a maximum of 100. Mostly the same. Gave him a little bit of a damage bump. Through some of the playtesting that I did with my buddy Justin, the machine gunner was a little bit underpowered, so it wasn't really a card that we used quite a bit. So I felt that I needed to give this card a damage bump up. That's the other thing. Have been doing a lot of playtesting too. So a lot of the changes I made are actually not just based on the Unity project, but also backed by like extensive playtesting that I've done on the side. So, all right. And then, of course, like I cannot have the NHA faction without the M1 Liberator. That's like the crown jewel of the NHA faction. So it's essentially an Abrams tank. Modified this guy a little bit. So 260 HP, gets a bump up in HP, bump down on the auxiliary strike attack, another bump down on the precision strike attack, gets a bump down in resistance. One thing that we found in the playtesting is that -20 resistance makes these tanks nearly impossible to kill. So -10 is the max. The reason why I have resistance, because in real life, if you're trying to shoot a gun at a tank, chances are that gun is going to do actually like 0 damage to the tank. So I try to add like a little bit of realism. Retreat of 3, but here's the biggest change. When this unit is knocked out, your opponent takes 3 prize cards. This tank, if knocked out, is worth 3 prize cards. That's a lot. But the reason why in the playtesting, once somebody gets an M1 Liberator up, or if they get a T40 Tiger tank running, they're extremely hard to kill. So I felt that these tanks were big enough, they're bad enough, that if you knock them out, they need to be worth a pretty hefty prize amount. So we chose 3. So that is a big change in the game. We're going to do some more play testing to test it out to make sure that it is valid. But some of the play testing I've done already, it seems to work out pretty good. There's a pretty good balance. And what's kind of nice is it kind of lends itself to, if you want to build a deck without tanks at all, you actually could make a viable deck just using infantry people like, machine gunners and rocketmen and things like that. So that was a balance change. Next up, we have light infantry. This is mostly the same. Free retreat for CAC. Keep going. We have the marksman for the CAC. This guy now has a call reinforcements attack. So like I talked about with versatility, they now have the ability to go and search for more units themselves. Rapid fire DMR for 100 damage. Pretty decent attack. All right. So there's resistance. We have the rocketman, of course. every faction has a Rocket Man. I'll just tell you that now. Nothing really much to talk about here. It's still the same 180 damage. So unique unit for the CAC faction is they still have the Flame Trooper. They don't have a machine gunner, but they do have a Flame Trooper. And this guy has been overhauled. So I added an attack called Refuel. So attach an ammo from your hand to this unit. It allows you to attach an extra ammo during your turn, which is nice. And then we have the Ball of Fire attack. Does 100 damage plus 10 damage to each unit on your opponent's base. Do not apply resistance. That's a pretty decent attack. It's expensive, but it's a heavy hitter, which is nice. So, all right. And then, of course, the CAC, they have their T-40 Tiger tank. This is, of course, one of the 3 main battle tanks in this set. Is worth 3 prize cards. As far as attacks, I got rid of the smoke screen attack, and now this card now has a self-repair attack, which will remove 30 damage from this unit. And then Cannon Blast, mostly the same, just kind of nerfed it a tad, so it brought down the damage to 210. HP is bumped up to 250. Resistance the same, -10. And then if we go to the next faction, the SAA, once again, a lot of the same changes. This card now has a Call Reinforcements attack, 0 retreat, short burst. It's a pretty decent card for a light infantry. Marksman is mostly a bump up, pretty decent card. I don't think I made any changes to this one actually. It's mostly the same. Grenadier, I did make an adjustment to this one, bumped them up in HP to 100. So the SAA faction is really meant to be like the defensive focused type faction. So they have higher HP. Incendiary Grenade only does 40 damage, but it allows you to discard the top 2 cards from your opponent's deck, which is kind of nice. A little bit of disruption. All right, and then moving on, we got the Rocketman. So got the Rocketman, sidearm shot. Change this guy, actually, he has a different first attack. So this guy now just has sidearm. And Bazooka Blast, which is cool. Like, cool name. Pretty decent card, big HP, low retreat cost. And then the one vehicle that the SAA have is the Panther PFV. Kind of a hard decision, really, because they had 2 really good tanks. So I went with the Panther. This is a kind of nice card for this faction because it has this pickup attack, which allows you to get a card back from your discard pile. Once again, talking about versatility, because I'm taking command cards away, you need cards that have, versatile attacks and have abilities to help you out. And then it has Chain Gun Barrage, which can do a maximum of 180 damage if you flip heads. This card is only worth 2 prize cards. So when it comes to the vehicles, I've kind of put them into 3 tiers. You have tier 1, which are your big dogs, your main battle tanks, like your Liberator, your Tiger, and a new one I'm about to show you here in a minute. There's a 3rd one. And then I have like tier 2 tanks, which are going to be like the Panther PFV, or the Wildebeest tank for the UAF faction, which are like smaller version tanks. They're not quite as big, not as much HP, don't do as much damage. Those are tier 2, and those are usually worth 2 prize cards. And then tier 3 vehicles are going to be like your trucks, your Humvees, your buggies, smaller things. They're going to only be worth 1 prize card. They're still stage 1 vehicles, but they're only worth 1 prize because they're really not like that good. so this is worth 2 prize cards. The Panther is. Let's move on to the UAF light infantry. Excuse me. I made some really huge changes to this faction because the way I had them set up originally, there was set up with a lot of disruption and a lot of CQC. It's different now. So I actually used the Ranger card and changed him to a light infantry. So we can see here it has a Call Reinforcements attack. So you can kind of see the theme. Like each faction has at least 1 card that has the attack called Call Reinforcements. And that's definitely by design because when I build out the script in Unity for the Call Reinforcements attack, I'm going to have to build it once. And what's nice is I'll only build it once, but there's going to be like 4 different cards that use that same script. So like I talked about earlier, really thinking ahead and trying to reduce the amount of work and rework that I'm having to do, I'm starting to like kind of reuse attacks over and over, so that way I'm not having to script every single little attack, individually. Saves a lot of just hours and hours of work. So did that. Surprise ambush, discard the top card from your opponent's deck. That's kind of a disruption tactic. So the UAF faction, they're really meant to be disruptive and discard cards and manipulate things. So this kind of plays into that. The marksman here, this is just a really cut and dry, two ammo, 70 damage. Kind of a nice card. Didn't change anything with that guy. Grenadier, I updated this guy. Just simplified him a little bit. So just a really easy Molotov cocktail attack for 40 damage. And then an improvised bomb. Discard the top 2 cards from your opponent's deck. Does 70 damage as well, which is kind of nice. So you can see discard, discarding cards and things like that. The Rocketman here, 100 HP, RPG strike. Nice, just 180 damage towards the vehicle. And then the Wildebeest. So this is their main tank for this set. It's not a main battle tank. It's a smaller version of the tank. Worth 2 prize cards. Trying to think. I don't really do much to this guy other than I got the HP set to 210. Cannon Blast does 160 damage. So it's not the hardest hitting tank, but it's not bad. Alright, so that's it for UAF. So here, more key changes. So mercenary cards. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I had 4 mercenary cards in my main set. I actually reduced that down to 2. Reason being, making the ability scripts for them, it's just very time consuming. So I cut it down to 2. Plus, I didn't want these cards are so powerful. I really didn't want to have like a lot of these running around like initially. So I thought 2 might actually be a little bit better. And they're the best ones in my opinion. So first up is Frank Fortress. There's no way I'm going to release a global conflict set without having Frank Fortress in it. This is probably my favorite card in the entire set, like by far. Basic mercenary. I didn't change really anything on this guy. He's still 150 HP. I mean, he's as much as like a small vehicle. Has the ability Die Hard, so which is kind of nice if he has full HP and he gets attacked. Basically, you cannot one-shot this guy. If you do one-shot him, he's going to have 10 HP remaining and he'll survive another turn. Next up, Covered Fire. 110 damage, which is a lot of damage. Unit takes 30 less damage from attacks during your opponent's next turn. This card's legit. this card's going to do a lot of damage. So you can see I kept that. And then, of course, I kept Tex Westwood because I just like the name. I think it's kind of a cool card, and I really like the picture where he's shooting the guy. The only thing I changed on this card is I changed the quick draw ability. So now if you attack him, he will do 30 damage back to the attacking unit, which is cool. And it's kind of like a luck of the draw guy. Like, flip 6 coins, attack does 30 damage for each heads you flip, which is cool. Alright, nothing much different there. And so the next set of cards I'm going to show you are the universals. And so there's actually 6 universal cards in the base set. And the reason why I have 6 more than the other factions is for versatility. So you can take these universal cards and put them into any faction deck you want. They use any type of ammo. It's just to allow you to not have to just use faction cards. You can put universals and kind of mix and match and get a different play style. So we can see here, actually here is the Ranger. Brought them back in the universals. They have an attack called Reload. Draw 2 cards from top of your deck. You can see I'm reusing this attack again, so I only have to make the script once and multiple cards use it. But this is a nice card to add if you're looking to add some draw support to your deck. It doesn't matter which faction you use. You can have a little bit of draw support here. Open Fire for 40 damage. Not the greatest, but it's okay. We have the Marine, which is pretty nice. Double tap. It does some spread damage here with Frag Blast. 10 damage at each unit on your opponent's base, which is cool. And he has resistance to mercenaries, -10, which is nice. I like the Marine. This is a good card. And then if we keep going, we have the Commando. This is another cool card. Commando has Call to Arms, which will help you to search out basic infantry or mercenary units. Also has Akimbo AK-47s. Does big damage, 130 damage if you flip heads. This is a cool card. -20 resistance to mercenaries. This is the only, well, not the only, but one of the only like infantry cards that is actually rare, believe it or not. That's not a mercenary. So kind of a cool card. I thought it was worth keeping them. Just like I said, it adds versatility. You can put these in any one of your decks and add, you know, the ability to search out other units or to do bigger damage. All right, and then so keep going. Now we have the next three are going to be vehicles. First up being the L35 Puma. So this vehicle was previously a part of the SAA faction. I made this vehicle universal now. It's really just like a nice general like vehicle. Like you could put it in any faction deck, doesn't matter. But it gives you the attack pickup, which allows you to pick up a card from your discard pile, which is nice. This is a really nice versatile attack, which could help you, actually could really save you in the late game scenario. And then it has a really simple chain gun barrage, does 150 damage. I had to keep the attack damage on these cards lower because they're all universal ammo requirement. So I don't have double ammo card in this base set, but one day when I do in an expansion, these tanks you're gonna be able to power these up in like one turn. so I can't have like huge damage right away. So that's why I did that. Zero retreat, which is kind of cool. This is overall going to be a really nice card. Oh, also 200 HP, and it's worth 2 prize cards. All right, and then this is the new main battle tank in the set called the Avalanche Mark 1. So we only have 2 main battle tanks. You have the Liberator, you have the T40 Tiger, and then now we have the Avalanche Mark 3 or Mark 1, take that back. And what's cool about this card is you can add another main battle tank to any faction deck you want, which is cool. It's just a general main battle tank. Pretty simple, to be honest. The 250 HP has a self-repair attack, and Thunderous Strike, which does 90 damage, 190 damage, which is decent. It's definitely on the low end for a big tank like this, but if you look at the ammo requirement, only 5 universals, which is really nice. Like, it's a pretty good card. Of course, it is worth 3 prize cards if it's knocked out. And then one other unique thing about this card is the resistance. It has -10 resistance to every single faction, which is cool. Yeah, I'm really proud of this card. I like this one a lot. I think it's going to help out a lot of different deck builds and just be like a good, solid, you know, tank card. And then the last universal vehicle I got, Hurricane Hauler. So I added a helicopter. I felt that I didn't want to leave the set without some type of air vehicle, so I added 1 helicopter. This card is going to be extremely popular, and you could tell right off the bat. The ability Strategic Supply. Once during your turn before you attack, you may draw 1 card from the top of your deck. So it's basically a free draw supporter. If you have it in the field of play, you can use Strategic Supply and draw an extra card, which is nice. This card is going to be super popular. So because that ability is so good, the rest of the card is not really anything to write home about. It's only 150 damage or HP. Missile Barrage only does 40 damage, does 10 damage to each bench unit or base unit. So it's got spread damage, but you don't really want to send this thing out to fight. It's really meant to help you to draw cards. Of course, it has a resistance of -10. If this card is knocked out, it is worth 2 prize cards. So that also was intentional. The big thing about this card, if you put 1 down, you can draw 1 extra card. If you have 2 of these down in the field, you can draw 2 extra cards per turn. Of course, the max you can put is 4 on the field. You can only have 4 of these cards in your deck at any time. So if you had all 4 of them in the field of play, you could theoretically draw 4 extra cards per turn. That sounds great until you remember that there's only actually 4 bench spots in the field of play. And so you kind of have to wait out. And then if this helicopter gets knocked out, it's worth 2 prize cards. So it's a good card, but it's a little bit of a deterrent, if that makes sense. So I had to balance it somehow, or else we were all going to get spammed with Hurricane Haulers. So that's why I did that. All right, let's move on. We're going to plow through the rest of this set. So that's it for all the units. You can see some of the big sweeping changes I made. As far as the rest of the cards, I have only 3 supporters, which are major orders. Draw 3 cards. You can discard your opponent's base upgrade card. We have Captain's Orders, which is shuffle your hand in your deck, then draw 6 cards from the top of your deck, which is kind of nice if you need to recycle your hand. That is in the set. We have Lieutenant's Orders, just straight up draw 3 cards from the top of your deck. Really simple. So those are the only 3 command cards, or supporter cards. We have 8 action cards. So airdrop is first one. This is actually rated rare. Just an action card. It's not a supporter. You can play as many of these as you have in your hand. Just draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. Kind of nice. This card, the inspiration for this card, if you ever played like the original set of Pokemon TCG, the card Bill. Bill card, draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. That's what this is based off of. Next one, Airlift. So flip a coin. If heads, put one of your units in play and all of the cards attached to it into your hand. This is kind of nice. I feel like for tanks, this is one of the ways you can save people from knocking out your tank. Kind of nice. We have the resource locator. Search your deck for 2 ammo cards and put them into your hand. Gotta have one of those. Rescue mission. I had to have at least 1 card that would allow you to get cards back from your discard pile. And so the rescue mission is that card. Moving on, we have ammo theft. So this is just a disruptive card. If you flip heads, you can discard an ammo card from one of your opponent's units. That is very nice. Painkiller, heal 40 damage from one of your infantry or mercenary units. Gotta have that. Just like Pokemon to be like potion, you have to have like a potion card. Roadside repair, so remove 50 damage from one of your surface or air vehicles. So this is nice, like you could repair a vehicle, 50 damage. This, I actually modified this when it used to be 30 damage, but through all the play testing that we did, we actually found that 30 damage is like next to nothing. You might as well not even play the card. So when we bumped it up to 50 damage, actually made the card a little bit more useful and a little bit more competitive. So 50 damage it is. Retreat, of course, if you need to retreat a unit, you can use this card, which is nice. Gotta have one of those. And I think this is the last action card. Extra firepower. So during this turn, your active unit's attacks do 10 more damage. And that applies for both active slots. So in the game, we have 2 active spots that can both attack during your turn. They will both do 10 extra damage. So this thing actually really stacks. And if you play multiples of these cards, so they say you put 1 down and then you put a second down, now each unit is doing 20 extra damage each, which is really nice. Pretty cool card. And then base upgrades, we have Barracks, which is cool. Once per turn, may search your deck for a basic infantry card and put it in your hand. Just helps you to get units out. And then the last base upgrade card is the Ammo Factory. Once per turn, you may search your deck for 1 ammo card and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. It's just nice to help you to get ammo cards in your hand. Those are the only 2 base upgrade cards. I was really deliberate about which base upgrades I put in. Of course, as I do expansions, like we'll have more. We'll have different ones with different abilities. And then the last 4. So the last like 4 command cards I'm going to show you. In my original 80 card set, I actually did not have any infantry attachments in that original 80. But I since changed my mind because, like I talked about, reducing the set down to 50 cards, I needed to find ways to add versatility to the cards so that way you're able to make different types of decks that fit different play styles. So the next 4 cards you're going to see are infantry attachments, and what's really cool about them is they add the ability to add like different attacks or add like some damage modifiers where you really can change up your deck quite a bit and really change the landscape of what's happening inside of the game. So let's take a look at the first one. First up, Kevlar Vest. So you can't have a military game without a little bit of body armor. Really simple. When you attach this to an infantry or mercenary unit, the unit takes 30 less damage from attacks. Really cool. So like if you're running out like a lot of infantry cards and basics and they're fighting tanks, you can throw a Kevlar Vest on and they're going to end up taking 30 less damage per attack, which really, through the play testing I've done, 30 less damage is really significant. Like it's enough to keep a card from getting one-shotted. It's enough to keep a card alive like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 extra turns. So this card, if used strategically, I think it'd be really powerful. So keep an eye out for Kevlar Vest. It's going to be really good. It's a common. You can attach it to any of your infantry cards, which is nice. So that's the first one. The next ones are actually weapons themselves. So first up, we have the Civ 9 sniper rifle. I actually during my first iteration of this this card game, back like a couple years ago. I had this card, and I've always just kind of had it sitting in the back, and I felt like with a reduced size set, this card made a lot of sense. Basically, a card like this, if you add this to one of your infantry units, you are essentially giving them an extra attack to choose from, like in your options. So add this to a card, and that infantry unit will have access to this attack called Headshot. Does 100 damage. If the unit card is attached, if the unit this card is attached to has the word marksman in its name, this attack does 50 extra damage. So if you have a Civ 9 sniper rifle and you come all the way up and you attach it to a marksman card like this, so instead of just having access to these two attacks like mini shotgun blast or precision shot, this card will now have access to the headshot attack from that Civ 9 sniper rifle. You can see where the versatility comes in. It gives you that little bit of extra kick, especially when you're fighting vehicles and other stronger units. Pretty cool. So, all right, so that is the Civ 9. Really nice card. Of course, you can put it, you don't have to put it in a marksman's hand. You could put it in some other infantry card, and it'll still be a decent attack with 100 damage, which is not bad. Next card, we have the M6 semi-auto shotgun. Same thing applies. You attach it to an infantry card. They get access to this third attack called Buckshot Blast. It does 90 damage. Also, draw 2 cards from top of your deck. It's kind of a cheeky way of like drawing cards. so do some big damage, 90 damage, but also draw 2 cards. I thought it was kind of cool. And I like the shotgun too. It's like I wanted a shotgun. All right, and then the last one here, this is the big one. So the next one I'm going to show you is the only attachment that's rated rare so far. And you're going to see why, because when I did the play testing with Justin, we played, let me just put it out there. Justin, if you're watching this, that guy completely kicked my ass with the Liberator tanks. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, at least 4 times, over and over and over. The tanks in this game are so powerful. It was really difficult to take down a Liberator or a T-40 Tiger. So shout out to you, Justin. You kicked my ass so much that I actually changed the game. Anyways, this next card is really one of the ways that I thought could help balance power within the game. And so without further ado, the last attachment is called the Tank Buster. Just the Tank Buster. Obviously it's a rocket launcher. If you attach this to your infantry unit, they're going to have access to the Precision Strike. Does 230 damage. Doesn't matter if it's a tank, if it's an air vehicle, if it's an infantry, it doesn't matter. It's doing 230 damage. Massive attack, only requires 4 ammo, which is a lot, but not really that much. The one catch with this card is that when you use the attack, you have to discard the attachment after you use the attack. So that was one way I could balance it. So basically, you attach this to an infantry card. Doesn't matter which infantry it is. It could be anybody. They fire off the rocket. They dispose of the rocket. And then it goes to their discard pile. Of course, there are cards like I just showed you where you can get cards back out of your discard pile. And there's nothing saying you can't grab another Tank Buster out of the discard pile. Just putting it out there. But yeah, I really love this card. I rated it rare. This is going to be a really powerful card to have in your deck. And it's one card that I truly feel can, if you have an opponent that is just kicking your ass with tanks, you actually could come back if you can pull a Tank Buster and knock out some tanks. So really proud of this card. I came up with this one last week. I'm happy with it. I haven't play tested it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. And like I said, it really balances the power between vehicles and infantry. Kind of evens the playing field a little bit. All right, and so that is it. The rest of these are just ammo cards, standard faction ammo. Nothing really new here. I didn't change these at all. Except you can see that the set numbers are 50 of 50, last card. So that is it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed going through the set with me, seeing some of the changes I made like I talked about. A lot of the changes were made due to the Unity project and making sure that I'm not doing a lot of repetitive work. But also not just the Unity project. I made a lot of changes to really balance the gameplay based off of all the play testing we've done. And on top of that, to provide versatility. Since it's only a 50 card set, I had to find ways to make the cards more versatile. So now you see with the attachments, the different command cards, the different universal cards, and the mercenaries, there's like quite a few different variations of decks that you could make. You don't have to use tanks. You could use mercenaries, or you could use universal infantry and just stock a whole bunch of tank busters in your deck. There's all sorts of different ways you can approach it. You can go rocketmen only and then a bunch of tank busters and go that way. So variation, and it really, I think it's as versatile as it could possibly be with only having 50 cards in the set, which is cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in this project. I'm not sure when the next devlog will come out. I'll try to crank it out sooner, putting more work into Unity project as I go. But yeah, like, subscribe. See you guys on the next video.